Zoom. Hey guys, I'm in the kitchen and I'm trying out a new hobby called homebrewing, which is basically making beer, wine, mead, any real alcohol drink or drink in general in your kitchen from, stuff that you buy at the store. So I have all this stuff out and I'm making a batch, which you saw in the beginning, of this beautiful orange blossom honey, orange cinnamon mead. Mead is, if you don't know, also called honey wine. It was made way back in the old days using nothing but water, yeast, and honey, and then fermented for a long period of time. Now, you might be asking, what does this have to do with anything on your channel? Well, I'll tell you what it has to do with anything on this channel. I got commissioned, to make a special mead by a special someone, and his favorite color is Fanger Red. So, I'm going to show you the steps that go into it. If you're at the drinking age, maybe you can take this into, put into practice, and if you're not, we'll wait a couple more years because underage drinking is illegal. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, so I've already had my stuff sterilized with some Star San, which is a specialty kind of, I guess kind of a germ and bacteria and just anything killer that you use to clean everything, because when you're brewing, the environment is really good for things to build up, and you really don't want the wrong kind of bacteria building up and ruining everything, because that can lead to over fermentation, basically bottles exploding and pops being just messes everywhere. So I have everything sterile, and I have my pot, and I have mixing spoon, funnel, temperature, spoon for the honey, and over here, hold on, cameraman. By the way, Neil, if you don't remember him, is on the camera for tonight. Yeah, say hi, Neil. I have my plug and my airlock in there, and I'll show you those later when the time is called for them to come out. So, what I am doing, I am making a special kind of blend for Lord Draconical, and of course, we want it to be nice and red. So I got some strawberries and raspberries to go in this thing. So, what we're going to do first is I'm going to crush up these strawberries and raspberries so they get nice and broken down and easier for the yeast to kind of feed on and ferment it up. So I'll get right back to you guys after I have these nice and chopped. I have my strawberries cleaned and mashed there. It looks really nasty, but that's going to make it a lot easier for the yeast to break down. Now I have some raspberries here, and all you do is you crush them up a little bit. You want it to be a little chunky. You don't want it to be a pure paste, but there are people who make their mead entirely with the juice. So, pomegranate juice instead of water, or grape juice, but that'd be kind of more of a wine. But you get my idea. So, just like that. And that looks good. Put that here. Alright, now we get to the essential parts of making the mead. So, we're going to take our pot. This has been sanitized. And you're going to take your filtered spring water. And we're going to pour about half a gallon in here. Is that crystal clear in HD?
Oh, you know it.
Alright, let's check here. It can go a little bit more. Basically, it's better to put more water than a half gallon than it is to put less than a half gallon. So, there we go. And we're going to turn our stove on to around a medium, low. And what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to let it get really warm up to about 120, 140 degrees, and you're going to have your honey in there and you're going to stir it in. I'm using clover, and you want to use raw, unprocessed honey. So let's get this open and I'll get right back to you. And pour it in just like that. Now you might be thinking that this is a lot of honey. You can go sweeter than this, up to 5 pounds. So once you get your honey in this, you're going to turn it to medium low, and you want this to slowly cook, and you're going to stir all that honey in so all the sugar gets dissolved into the water, because we want this honey to be in that water. While we're doing this, I'm going to go run and get some yeast, and I'm going to get it ready to put into our gallon jug, because that's actually, you can actually use gallon jugs for fermenting beer and mead, so you don't have to go out and buy the really expensive big 5 gallon, 1 gallon glass things, which will run you about like $28, $32. So I'm going to go get the yeast really quick. So once you get your yeast, I'm using Levelin EC 1118, which is, I've heard, a very stable kind of yeast. What you're going to do is you're going to get room temperature water, and you're going to let this soak in here. Follow the instructions, but for this you let it soak for about 15 minutes. And what this does is at room temperature water, it makes it so the yeast kind of gets used to the environment. They get moving around a little bit because yeast is actually a little live creature in there. Think of it as a sea monkey, but
I was about to say sea monkey.
Yes. We're gonna leave this in here for 15 minutes and we're gonna continuously stir our concoction. Yum, 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 look at that. So, when this is all said and done, I will be back with you guys to show you the next step. So this has been chilling for about a good 15-20 minutes. Take your thermometer and make sure that it's around 120, 140 degrees. And make sure that all the honey is in there. It'll have a nice golden color as you see in there. If you want to see that nice golden color.
In HD.
In HD. And this is hitting just over 140, so we're good to go. And you want to cook it for about 15-20 minutes. I'll give it one final stir. There shouldn't be any sediment on the bottom. Make sure that kind of just whisk your spin around. Use a whisk, whatever you want. But just make sure it's sterile and you're good to go. So after this, I'm trying to keep everything sterile, so I got a little spoon stand going. You're going to take it off the heat, put it onto something cold, and if you want to quicken up the process, fill up a sink. My sink doesn't really hold because we don't have a plug for it. So fill up a sink, put some ice in it, whatever, or get a container and put water in it. And you want it to come down to room temperature so you can add your yeast, put it in your jug. I'm using a plastic one. You can use glass, whatever you want. But we're going to put that in. And what this does is when you take it down to room temperature, it makes it so the yeast will fit in nicely instead of you pouring in the yeast and it's like, my skin's burning. We're going to let that cool down for a while, add our yeast, and then I'll show you where to go from there. And that includes adding our ingredients and getting this thing nice and, tasty. So my must, or the combination of honey and water, is done. It's down to around room temperature. So what we do now is we take it, and can you hold that funnel, lift it up just a little bit? Yep. So take it and we pour it into where we're going to let it ferment. And right here we have a little bit more than halfway, which is actually really good for a nice strong mead. So right now we're going to, actually we still need the funnel. I'm going to take my yeast that I've been letting sit in some water to get down to room temperature. We're going to pour it in. This was using the same water. This was using the same water as the jug that we're using. Just kind of keep it consistent. Let me get the rest of it. Let me see if I can get that. So now we're going to add our ingredients. Alright guys, so we're going to add our food to help the yeast kind of live in this culture for a good long time. So we're going to put around 25 raisins. And we're also going to add our raspberries and strawberries. I'm going to funnel these out first, and then after that kind of like, I guess kind of push them in a little bit, but here we go. So let's get our strawberries in there. And if anything, we can just have the liquid for it now. And we'll get the chunks in a little bit. So, and I can also take a spoon and kind of just, move it around. There we go. You can see it's getting down in there. And you can see it's been a little messy, but I only have a funnel, and the little the opening to the milk jug isn't too big, but I'm getting the raspberries in there. So after this, we're definitely going to clean it off, but there's one step that comes after that's very important. We're going to take our cap and we're going to put it on. And this yeast needs to be oxygenated, and it needs some oxygen. So we're going to shake it up for about 5 minutes like this. Give it some oxygen so that it can start feeding on all the goodness that's in there. And from what I've seen with raspberry meads, this thing is going to start fermenting really fast. But we're going to shake it first, and then we need to add a little bit more water to it to get to the top so that we have a good amount of mead. There we go. So take your bung or plug, and you're going to securely put it in there so it's nice and tight. So we don't want any air leaking in there. Air is bad. As you put this into the hole, nice and tight. So we want this to be nice and airtight, nothing getting in, and we want all that gas to come out. And how an airlock works is this is a 3-piece. Notice it has 3 pieces. You put your water or whatever up to that line, and you put this cap on. What happens is gases come up here and come out over the top of this, and then have to go through water and come up, and air cannot really work its way in and up and then down. So it's a really good way to keep stuff out. And yeah, this is one of the basic necessities for making mead, or really any type of fermenting drink. So fill it up to the line. You don't want to go too. There we go. And that's about good. And we just set this on there. And there we go. That is how you start your mead. And the best part about this, we're gonna give this 9 months.